You guys about to close on a house? Stay tuned and learn 7 things not to do.
Boom. All right, everybody. Justin here and
Mark Johnson.
we're with Inspire Realty Group, and we want to give you the 7 top tips of what not to do when you are about to close on the home that you're in contract with. So, number 1, what do we got, Mark?
Number 1, do not open a new line of credit.
Yeah, so no credit cards. I mean, basically anything that's going to impact your credit or you have to apply, put your social security number in, that's going to run your credit. Lender, boopah. So definitely don't do that. Now, what does that bring us to? Number dose?
Number dose, and these all kind of tie in that if you're at this point in the process, you've run a pretty strong race already, and you're probably feeling like celebrating, right?
Right.
Like you got it. You're almost there. You can taste the champagne, and you might want to celebrate by buying yourself a new
Appliance,
piece of furniture.
Yeah. So it's super common, right? And I've had this happen where it's super common for a buyer to start visualizing their life in their brand new home. They're at the finish line. They close in a few days, or they're about to record, and what do? They go out to Lowe's, Home Depot, Sears, wherever, and they're like, man, this house didn't come with a refrigerator or a washer dryer, and so, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go swipe that sucker, and next thing you know, guess what? You just lost some of your reserve funds or impacted your credit and debt-to-income ratio, and now you're no longer qualified for the home. So let's not do that. Another common thing is like, hey, we move in 3-4 days, let's go shop for some furniture. Well, it's pretty common now, especially with all the low interest rates, et cetera, that people put it on credit, and a lot of the furniture companies offer it. So, number 2, don't do that. Number 3
kind of ties in with number 2. You're feeling celebratory. You're almost there at the finish line, and a new Tesla would go really good in that driveway of your new house. Again, it might go good in the driveway, but just
it'll look really good. I like those Teslas.
Hold on for a few minutes and wait till that thing gets recorded.
And, once again, this is another common thing that pops up is, you have been super patient, most likely shopping for a home, getting your credit good, saving money, and, obviously you can't buy anything major until after the home closes, and you're thinking like, man, I sign next week, like it's not going to impact anything. Well, guess what? Think again, especially right now where, they're doing same-day employment verification. They're checking your credit a few days before closing to see if anything new has popped on your credit. I mean, it's just best practice not to do anything after you have signed the papers and the title company, at least here in Alaska, has called you or the real estate agent or us, right? And be like, hey, you can pick up the keys now. We are fully recorded on your home. Now go buy what you want, right? Number 4 is
co-signing on anyone else's loan.
Right. So if you're co-signing, it's essentially like you are signing away your credit just as much as that person, right? So even if you're a secondary, it still shows you as an obligatory person to that loan. So credit cards, if you're putting on credit, furniture, appliances, cars, like pretty much anything we have just covered, right? Another home, I've seen that, right? Do not sign on anything on that. It requires your signature until after recording, period, right? I think that's kind of the goal here.
Yeah.
Do we have to go through 5, 6, and 7?
There's a couple more good ones here, but just keep in mind that to the lender, you are a piece of paper, and it's a gamble. They're betting that you're going to repay.
Yes.
They don't know how awesome your credit is and how kick-ass your job is and how responsible you are financially. As soon as something comes across their desk that changes from where things were all settled and situated, that is going to play against you.
I feel like number 5 is pretty obvious. So why don't you go ahead and pop up number 5 here, Mark?
So quitting your job or switching to a new job. And you might say to yourself, well, my new job is going to pay me twice as much.
Right.
So, let's do this.
Yeah. So
still a piece of paper, risk analysis.
Right.
Changing jobs is risky to the lender.
Yep. So obviously quitting your job, so no longer having income, right, is an obvious one. However, switching to a new job is like, people are probably wondering, like, why can I not switch a job? So obviously the lender wants to see employment history in the same field. And of course, a mortgage lender is going to have a little more for you on this conversation here. So it's definitely important to reach out to them, because sometimes switching a job is fine, especially if it's in the same career field, you're getting a raise, that kind of stuff, right? So we're not saying you just can not switch jobs in general, but you definitely want to check with your lender before you pull that trigger, right? And maybe postpone that job transfer or something like that until you're closed or whatever. Definitely have that discussion with them. It's always good to check with the lender before you go and do anything, especially if you're in contract, because they are working with very finite numbers of where you can be for debt to income, credit scores, right? There's a whole bunch of that plays into it. So the last thing you want to do is get to the finish line, do something like this, right? One of these 7 things, and then realize that you just made a mistake and that you've now cost yourself the home of your dreams. So, number 6.
Number 6, listening to your friends or your uncle or your coworker over the advice of your realtor.
Right. This actually happens a lot. I know a lot of real estate agents who would probably be like shaking their heads yes right now. I understand that, especially in today's world, that everyone has an opinion and they're experts in literally everything under the sun, right? However, we do this full time. It's common for a person to only do a real estate transaction every 5 to 7 years. So if I was to go and cut hair every 5 to 7 years once, I probably wouldn't be a very good hairdresser. And it's also true for people who are offering advice on real estate, especially with our market shifting so much, so rapidly, interest rates rising, inventory drastically changing, loan programs come and go all the time, requirements for loan programs come and go all the time, right? Lean on the trusted professional that you hired to do their job, right? It's important. They're going to give you amazing advice, and if you listen to it, they're going to make sure you get to the finish line as smoothly as possible, right? I'm not saying don't ever listen to your friends and family, because, of course, you want to lean on them for some acknowledgement. But just, if your real estate agent or lender is telling you something and how the way things are moving and how to expect them to move, don't discredit their information and rely solely on someone who just does not practice in the field and, rely on their information. So, with that being said, where are we at for number 7?
Number 7 is going to be paying down student loans or other large debts. And while this is a good thing overall for your credit to have your debt ratio lowered,
right,
again, back to the basics here of things changing at the end, right? So unless your lender specifically tells you, hey, this is a great idea, pay this off, wait.
Absolutely. And what plays into this as well is credit card companies actually ding you for paying off your credit card. They want a revolving credit on your credit card. So if you pay off that card, pay off your student loans, whatever else, right, it could potentially actually negatively impact your credit because you just closed a revolving credit line, right? Now, also something to think about as well is for many loan types, you have to have a reserve amount of cash in the bank. So I know that your closing cost and your down payment is going to be a specific amount, right? However, the lender might say, but you need this much extra in cash reserves to get this loan closed, because they want to know that in case something happens, that there's at least 3 to 6 months of payments available for you in case you lost your job, something like that, right? So if you go to do any large down payments or paying off debt, you could potentially take out your reserves, and now you're no longer qualified because they're going to want to see that. So once again, this kind of leads us back into, hey, you have a real estate professional, right? An agent or realtor, right? Along with a mortgage professional who is actually the best person to talk to before you go and do anything as far as paying off anything, putting your name on something, and when it comes to the mortgage, right? So please reach out to your lender, reach out to the mortgage professional, Ask them questions before you do anything. It's going to save you a lot of headache in the long run. And if you want to go buy a truck, they're going to run the numbers, and then they may say, yeah, man, go buy whatever truck you want, right? But it's important to check in because like we talked about earlier, you don't want to get to the end and, be out of a house, right? So I know you all have worked very hard to get to that point. So it kind of sucks when you all of a sudden you pull the curtain on yourself. So and what else we got here?
Well, if for some reason your lender and financial expert doesn't have the answer to these questions, maybe be good to shop around and get you a better lender. Right. So if you're doing all this homework and due diligence to get into the best home that you can get into, it'd probably be good to do that both with your agent and your lender. And if you guys are looking for some good lenders, we've worked with multiple that have done really good work for our clients in the past, and you can reach out to us and we can put you into contact with them.
Yeah, absolutely. So we hope this helps. Hopefully you guys like this video. And make sure to hit that subscribe button, drop us a comment, hit that like button, and we'll, of course, see you on the next one.
Hope you guys liked the video. Smash the subscribe, hit the like button, leave us a comment, get a hold of us at 907-313-8805.
Bye, guys.